think Penn State's really helped themselves in the future. I think 5 players, all uniquely different, very talented players, and one very distinctive headliner in the 5-star Brandon Smith.
Yeah, no question about it. One of the things that we've heard so often in the overtime segment, which you can leave your questions now for that, is where are all the commits at? When are they going to start getting more and more? Penn State comes out in April, which is 3. Caden Wallace pledges at the Blue White game. Before that, Bob, it was just 2 all the way back to November when Jaquan Brisker, the quarterback, committed. So the question was, when was the excitement going to start again? And it started last Thursday when Jaquan Brisker, the #1 JUCO safety in America, committed. Then you follow that up with Devin Ford, the 4-star running back, on Friday. Sunday night, Marquise Wilson, sort of surprised. I don't know if it was a surprise, but he wasn't scheduled to announce, and he pulled the trigger at that point as well, defensive back. Then you roll into Monday, and a very good Monday for James Franklin, Tyler Rudolph, and then also, as you mentioned, Brandon Smith, the 5-star linebacker. It's been a long time since Penn State landed a 5-star linebacker. Now, keep in mind, Micah Parsons, Penn State made the decision to make him a linebacker, but he was an end when he was recruited. So, to me, Bob, it was the kind of momentous push that they have had pretty often under James Franklin. It just never really took this long in a recruiting cycle, but now that it's here, they're up to 8 commits, number 14 in the country, and only have pretty much from here to go up.
Yeah. Just a reminder to all you folks out there to go to YouTube / all Penn State for all of the Penn State Blitz videos, all the Penn State football videos, all things Penn State, all of the recruiting stuff. Get to second down here now. It's going to be a pretty recruiting heavy theme here. When you look at what all the activity that happened with the 5 players, best get of the 5 in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably have to start with Smith. I think when you look at where Penn State was on the linebacker front, it's not that they've recruited the position poorly over the years, but just think about it, Bob. Yeah. When was the last big-name surefire linebacker that Penn State landed? Again, Parsons doesn't count because he came in as an end, and Penn State decided to move him to linebacker, but in terms of that, I mean, you did have Lucada, the 4-star from Erie, that came in the last class, but Tar Burton's already moved to defensive line. And you go back a little bit. I mean, Ellis Brooks was a 4-star, but he didn't have play year 1 potential. So Smith to me has that. So he's the one that really jumps off the page.
Yeah, just going back a little before your time, I can remember when they got Michael Mauti, who is a legacy, but he was very much in the 4 or 5-star range, and also Dan Connor, the Pennsylvania standout. I think he played in 2004, 2005, I believe, as another really big-name linebacker. Just real quick to follow up on him. So is there a comparison to be made talent-wise between Brandon Smith and a guy like Micah Parsons, or are they completely different players?
No, I don't think they're completely different. I do think Parsons probably has a little bit of an athleticism edge, but I think Smith would equal that out with knowing how to play linebacker. I mean, not that Micah doesn't know how to play it, but, I mean, we talked often. He played in high school. He played defensive end. He played running back. He caught pass. The one thing he never really did was actually play linebacker, or at least the way you have to play it at the college level. So I make them comparable. It's just one maybe a little bit further ahead than the other. Of course, Micah has a lot of time to close that gap. And Smith has a lot of time to grow into he's already a very, very explosive player. There's just few in the country that are on Parsons' level in that regard. So, yeah, I mean, I think that they're fairly comparable, and you can expect to see them both, I think, on the field for Penn State for 2-3 years at least together before, you see what the future holds from there.
Okay, so Brandon Smith is your best get. Biggest recruiting surprise to date?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's when you look at what Terry Smith in the corners room has done and how they've really restocked the cupboard there. And I don't know if necessarily need it restocked, but you do lose 2 starters from last year. You will lose John Reed, I believe, and Amani Wari at the end of this year.
John Reed will have a year left, but he could opt to leave. Amani's done after this year.
You move Lamont Wade to safety. Now, granted, you could slide back or play him in the nickel, but I think that for Penn State, it's not that they don't have corner depth. I just feel like, and these guys could all play safety too. So you look at Marquise Wilson, same thing. He more than likely is a corner only. Tyler Rudolph is a corner or a safety. Brisker's a safety. So you have flexibility there as well. And I think that the other thing to keep in mind is that the safety job, you're going to need depth there at some point. So I think it was a domino effect a little bit with that. It's almost full, if not completely full at this point.
One more for you. Of the group, most college ready would be?
I think it'd have to be Brisker. I mean, he's playing, junior college ball already, so I think that, he's probably in line to be on track there. If you look at some of the quotes that have come out of Lackawanna about him, it's more or less that this kid was one of the few first-year players that forced himself onto the field early in their season last year. He had very good numbers, and yeah, I mean he's right. The Smith would be a close second, but I'd give Brisker the nod just because of where he's playing.
Okay, now